What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so you guys know it's time for another mock draft. 12-team full PPR from the number 2 spot this week. So we'll start things off, stat of the day. We'll go over the news, actually a lot more news than we have had in previous weeks. And then we'll do the mock draft. So, stat of the day for today. Yesterday's stat was which tight end led the league in average yak over expectation. The answer was Jonnu Smith. Don't know who got that right because I record these a little bit early. Today's stat, which running back averaged the least time behind the line of scrimmage? So, as you can see on the screen, usually we only have like 2 or 3 things to talk about. We got a lot of things. Some of them not, very major, but other ones definitely are. So we see LeSean McCoy signing with the Bucks. A lot of people have different takes on this. Personally, I just think it's an avoid, right? You've now got 3 running backs who all have legitimate cases to getting a workload. It's not like they bring McCoy in and he's the featured back, right? They're still going to use Jones. They're going to use Vaughn. But to expect one of these guys to be the featured back is a little ridiculous. I think they're all just kind of being a 3-man committee. And I just don't want to do that. Like if one of these guys is available really late, sure, take a shot on them. It's low upside anyways in these later picks. So if you really think one of them's the guy, later rounds, that's fine. But I'm not spending any sort of real draft capital on anyone here. Damian Williams, this is the biggest news. He opts out of the season, meaning Clyde is now the featured back. The featured back on the Chiefs, no matter how good you are, is probably going to get you, again, featured back, so at least getting like in that 15 touch range, you're going to average 20 points a game. And given that Clyde is an exceptional running back, exceptional in the receiving game, I now have him 5th overall behind McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Kamara. So you know how in all these mock drafts I'm saying pretty much regardless of the scoring format, everyone knows McCaffrey first, everyone knows Barkley second. I've seen people flip-flop Zeke and Kamara. For me, just because of how good I think Dallas is going to be, I have Zeke at 3, then Kamara at 4, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be number 5 now. You can argue that Cook should be ahead of him, and I don't care. Like, if you want Dalvin Cook ahead of Clyde, take him. Totally fine with that. I think they're basically the same at this point, and I would take both those guys over Michael Thomas. So, I guess if you want to know the beginning rankings, McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Kamara, Clyde, Cook, Michael Thomas. That's how you're starting off drafts. And again, in pretty much any format, unless you have some, like, real strange formats. I guess in full PPR, you could argue Michael Thomas over Cook. But again, it's more of a personal preference. It's more one of those things where you do a bunch of mock drafts and see how your team turns out if you take Michael Thomas. And then see how it turns out if you take Dalvin Cook. It's really just a personal thing for you. For me, I just really like that running back early. So that's a long way of saying this is great for Clyde. John Elway, he is upset that there's no preseason games for his rookies and I guess for all rookies. I think people are going to overreact to no preseason games. If we look back at how much did rookies play in the preseason last year that did really well. We got your McLaurin, Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, Slayton, Jacob Sanders. You look at how much did these guys play in the preseason, they all had either less than 20 total snaps or less than 15 total routes run. So I understand that everyone wants to say, well, they need those preseason snaps. They don't. They really just don't need that. I watched an interview with Kyle Shanahan. He said, honestly, like, he's bummed that there's no preseason because there's a lot of guys that you don't know really if they're going to make the team. But these high-end rookies are going to make the team. They're going to have a role. And he's saying, hey, yeah, we missed out on a preseason game, but they weren't playing much anyways. And now you couldn't practice before the game. You couldn't practice the day of the game. You couldn't practice the day after the game. You gained 3 practices for all 4 of those games. 5 for some teams. But all 4 of those games, you gained practice. Now they gain 12 practices. Now, they won't, unfortunately, because a lot of teams aren't practicing. Like we're going to see at the end there, like until August 17th for some teams. So that's definitely going to hurt. But I think we're overreacting a little bit to how much this impacts rookies, and especially rookie running backs. They don't need that many reps. They just don't. So I think rookies are still fine. I'm not aggressively targeting them because, again, this is different. But when you look at a guy like Jalen Reagor, who else are they going to play? Are they going to play J-Jaws? Like, no, he stinks. So I think people are overreacting a little bit to the rookies. Sony Michel, still uncertain if he's going to start football activities. Remember, he had the foot surgery in the offseason. Damian Harris just remains a really nice pick late. Doesn't mean it's going to work out, but he definitely has upside because we have no idea even what the injury was to Sony Michel, never mind how long it's going to take him to start football again. Another report came out that there's a little bit of question as to whether or not Jarvis Landry is going to start the season healthy. I'm not like avoiding him at all costs, but you guys know I haven't taken him in a single mock draft, and I really don't think we should be because we have no idea if he's going to start the season healthy. So a bump up to Hunt and a bump up to Odell in this one, and I guess a small one to Hooper. Funchess has opted out, but I mean he wasn't going to be the guy anyways, so this doesn't really change anything. Like I said, a lot of teams are not practicing until August 17th. I mentioned this for the Bears because at this point, it's pretty likely that Trubisky starts the season as the quarterback. I know Foles is better. Foles will likely end the season as a quarterback. But if Foles isn't out there practicing until mid-August, it's just a lot easier for them to be like, all right, we'll start with Foles, we'll keep practicing, or we'll start with Trubisky, keep practicing, and then we'll implement Foles maybe like a month in if Trubisky isn't better than he was last year. So kind of expect that. And then Deebo Samuel come out and said that he is likely, he didn't say, but the reports are that he's going to miss some time. We've kind of expected this. It's really the question, will he miss 6 weeks or will he miss like 3 to 4? But regardless, not really someone I'd be targeting. So I mentioned, kind of forgot to do the poll this week. The poll last week was Nick Chubb and Calvin Ridley or David Johnson and Julio. So I will post that poll and whatever we decide in this mock draft, both in this coming week, and then we'll go over those results afterwards. But let's do a mock draft. So remember, full PPR, 12 teams, number 2 spot this week. And a lot of people actually ask what draft spot is the best. There is no the best because it depends on what your league does. Maybe you get incredible value at like the 7 pick in some leagues and then terrible value at the 7 pick in other leagues. So it still depends. But I do like having one of these early first round picks. Sometimes it doesn't work out. It really does stink having one of these early picks when that second tier of running back just dries up right before it gets to you. That stinks. But you open up the opportunity to where maybe you get a few of those guys coming back to you at the next pick and your team just starts out awesome. So I do like early a little bit more than late. But by no means am I upset with a late pick because then maybe I can start off with like Miles Sanders and Drake. Or maybe like Clyde, I don't know who'd be available in like the mid, maybe Clyde and I guess Drake could fall, maybe like a Josh Jacobs, so you can still get 2 really good running backs. You open up a huge opportunity with McCaffrey and Barkley at these first 2 picks and then who you could get the next one. So I do prefer early. For the team, it's going to be the same as usual. Split 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex spot, 7 bench. You guys know the drill. I do want to talk about also the potential this season of going. Okay, Kamara goes first. Remember, these are built off of randomness, so there is some randomness built in to where technically, yes, Kamara could go first in a few leagues. Pretty low likely. Doesn't really mess anything up because I would have taken Barkley at 2. Now I have McCaffrey. If you really just hate that, you're like, oh, this is unrealistic, just pretend I took Barkley here. I'll obviously take McCaffrey. One thing I want to talk about is this season, how it's different. And people are going to get sick. And I talked about this on, I guess, Friday's video with Mark Andrews and how I really like Mark Andrews, but it might be the optimal strategy this season to just be like, I'm going to need running backs and wide receivers because I have to start the majority of them. And since some of these guys are going to get sick, I want a deep bench at those positions. And so spending an early round pick on a quarterback or a tight end when they could get sick as well, why not just wait at both of those positions? Just take a bunch of running backs and wide receivers in the first 12 rounds. Don't even touch quarterback and tight end. And just ensure yourself you got starters. Every single week, you've got enough people to start because you're going to bust on half your picks anyways. So if you just fill out your starting lineup and then your bench, doesn't have the greatest depth because you took quarterback and tight end early, maybe you took a defense early, and you filled in that starting lineup, it's going to hurt when 2 of your running backs, get sick and then your quarterback gets sick and then you're looking at free agency and you're like, well, this stinks. So just it might be optimal this season to just go heavy running backs and wide receivers and potentially just go heavy on one position. Just say, all right, dude's going to get sick. I'm just going to load up on running backs or load up on wide receivers, and I'm going to ensure every single week I've got 2 wide receivers and my flex. I'm done with that. I can fill in running back, and then I can always stream quarterback. Even if guys get sick, that's still going to be a strategy this season. Just stream it. You'll be fine, right? So then if I can kind of get away with tight ends late, because we know there's so many great ones, that might be optimal. So just a thought. And then also RB0 light. Remember we talked about in the RB0 video, I don't want to just take wide receivers in the first 5 rounds, but if I can start off a draft like this with McCaffrey, I feel pretty good about McCaffrey. Do I even need another running back? I know if one falls to me here, I'm probably going to take them because of how much we value running backs. But I'm not overly upset if I don't get a running back here because McCaffrey's going to get enough points for 2 running backs. So I can wait a little bit and maybe just say I'm loading up on awesome wide receivers. And so if some guys get sick, I still have some elite players. So just some thoughts there. But let's look at what happened. Only Travis Kelce goes at tight end. No quarterbacks get taken. A bunch of running backs. And I was going to do this draft on Sleeper, but Clyde was still going at 30, and I wanted it to be more realistic. And we know that Fantasy Pros is much better at adjusting. This news just came out, and he's already at 7. Perfect. So after me, we get Barkley, Zeke, Clyde, Henry, Cook, Mixon, Eckler, Chubb, Drake, Sanders, Jones, and Fournette go. So I don't think there's any tier 2 running backs left, but I will check, obviously. Probably forgetting someone. At wide receiver, Michael Thomas, Adams, Julio, Hill, Hopkins, Godwin, and Evans get taken. So we'll pull up the cheat sheet. We will hide the drafted players, and there is one. There is Josh Jacobs, the last tier 2 running back available. We look at wide receiver. All tier 1 wide receivers are gone. We've got Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, DJ Moore as guys we love. We know we were at 2, so there's only going to be 2 picks that go after us. And since I love a few of these wide receivers, and I know there's a drop-off here in a tier 3 at running back, the optimal play is absolutely to take Josh Jacobs. I know this is a full PPR league, and Jacobs does not have that reception ceiling, but he technically, I guess he has that reception ceiling in his top 5% range of outcomes, but he's still just going to be so involved. He will get some receptions that you got to take him at the end of the second round. If we look at the running backs now, though, there's a drop-off. And like I said, since I have McCaffrey, I'm cool loading up on wide receivers from this point on. I have said that Mahomes and Lamar are fine in the 3rd round. I have said Kittle as well, I'm fine with in the 3rd round. But for me, I just want to start taking some of these wide receivers. Oh, wow. I'm blanking on who I have between Allen Robinson and Kenny Golladay at this 7 spot. They're right next to each other. I am pretty confident that I have Allen Robinson, so I'll take him. But if you're like, no, that's a terrible pick, you should have taken Kenny Golladay, okay, I'm fine with that. I know that Allen Robinson is going to end the season with more receptions than Golladay, assuming they both stay healthy. So I'm pretty sure I have Allen Robinson ahead of him. But that's something I guess I should go check. So just the highlights here. After my pick, Lamar goes right after me. Mahomes goes, no other quarterbacks. We see Kittle, Waller, Ertz, and Andrews all be taken in the 3rd and 4th rounds. Not many running backs. Only Melvin Gordon, James Conner, Carson, and David Johnson get drafted. And then a bunch of wide receivers go. We see Woods and Ridley go, who we would have really liked at this pick. Obviously, DJ Moore goes, would have liked. But I think there are still some options. So we look at the board. We've got our boys. DJ Chark is on the board. We've got Terry McLaurin still on the board. DK Metcalf. Of course, we posted that video Thursday. I think last Thursday was when it got posted, breaking down those guys. I said that I personally will rank them McLaurin, Metcalf, and Chark. But this is a beautiful example of rankings versus ADP. It is less likely that Chark will be there at my next pick, so it might be good to take Chark and then to take McLaurin in the next pick. Also, that video was talking about half PPR scoring. DJ Chark probably does get a bump up ahead of DK Metcalf in full PPR, just because the reception ceiling of DK Metcalf is much lower. On average, he's probably going to see 10 to 15 fewer receptions. And of course, that's going to boost the floor for Chark. We would consider Le'Veon Bell, but if this were my team that I was drafting, it would probably come down to Jonathan Taylor and David Montgomery at this next pick for running back, but I don't think I could justify in a full PPR league, having already had McCaffrey, not taking two of these wide receivers here. So I am going to take DJ Chark. I'm going to pray that McLaurin is still there. Beautiful, he is, and we do get two of the guys we wanted. And definitely I do have McLaurin ahead of Metcalf in a full PPR league. Remember, he's just going, so many targets for McLaurin. It's him and it's Steven Sims Jr., and that's it. So he's an excellent pick. He's a fantastic wide receiver. What was that, in the 5th round? Yeah, beautiful getting him in the 5th round. So let's pull up our team here. We haven't done that one yet. Rosters. So our team, we've got Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs for running back, and then Allen Robinson, DJ Chark, and Terry McLaurin for wide receiver. We are at that range where tight end, we're just not taking anyone. If we didn't get Kittle or Andrews, then we're just waiting for the rest of the draft, and we're going to take one of the really late guys. Obviously not defense. And then for quarterback, this is a spot where you could take Josh Allen, late 6th round. So I guess if we don't like anyone at running back or wide receiver, we could do that. But I'm definitely, I treat quarterback as like luxury. So if I look at running back, I'm like a wide receiver, don't really care about anyone. Then you go, okay, maybe this is when I take quarterback. But if there's ever an option to take a running back or a wide receiver at that pick, you go for it. So is there. Full PPR, obviously James White gets the bump, but the ceiling isn't, as high as it used to be. Darius Geis absolutely has the most upside of anyone still on this list. But I'm not like crazy about anyone. I guess Akers, but honestly, I don't feel comfortable projecting Akers or Henderson as the guy. I mean, I have no idea who it's going to be. And so I'm just not going to take one of them in the 6th round. So it would be Geis or James White. At wide receiver, we could look for the upside of AJ Green, but it's also Michael Gallup would be an excellent pick. Marquise Brown, a great pick. I don't think Edelman's on the board anymore. That's probably who I would have gone with. Will Fuller for the upside. Well, maybe we do take the luxury pick of Josh Allen. I mean, he's got incredible upside this season. I have him as the quarterback 6, so getting him at quarterback 7 is technically a deal. But it's really tough. So one thing that's also good, Josh Allen has an incredibly easy early season schedule, so he should crush to open the season, and then you could flip him for a better option, maybe a running back that's underperforming or something like that. If I don't go with Allen here, I'm very likely to either take Stafford. I'm not taking Daniel Jones anymore. I don't remember if I talked about this on any video, but Daniel Jones has a very difficult early season schedule. So even if you like Daniel Jones, at this point, I'm not taking him because he's very likely to just end up on waivers after the first month, or you could trade for him if you really wanted him. And so not a guy I'll be going after anymore. But Cam Newton, absolutely. Joe Burrow, maybe, but he also has a really difficult first game, so he might get dropped after that. But then we'd be looking at like Minshew and Bridgewater. So maybe, you know what? Let's do it. And let's make this our decision point. We'll take Josh Allen. I would have ended up taking Gallup, so I guess that's not going to help us. We'll decide something later. My pick would have been Gallup, so I'm just going to take him here. But at the end of this draft, we'll see what we could have done. It would be Gallup, and then I'll see what other pick I would have done. It probably would have been James White, to be honest, which I wouldn't have loved. So here's the team. We've added Josh Allen and Gallup. So now our wide receivers are really nice. Allen Robinson, Chark, McLaurin, Gallup. Feel very confident with that. And then, of course, I feel confident with McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs and then Josh Allen. So I think this team is coming together really nicely. Of course, we could use some running backs. And at this point, I want pure upside. I don't want someone with a floor because I'm never starting them over Christian McCaffrey, right? And I'm probably not starting a floor running back over Josh Jacobs either, unless he gets hurt. So for this pick, I want upside. And if I want upside, then, I mean, who has more upside left on the board than Dobbins? I mean, Dobbins is a running back one if Mark Ingram got sick or got hurt. And so with that sort of upside, absolutely, I should look at other players. We don't need two of these wide receivers. We don't need quarterback. Has anyone fallen at tight end? I don't think anyone's even gotten drafted, so we're still good there. Yeah, let's do it. Let's take Dobbins. Only 2 picks will come off the board. And then, 100%. Yeah, it was only 2 picks. So, okay. We don't have handcuffs, right? Yeah, we're good with that. Another upside running back, since we only have 3 right now. Let's look at Duke Johnson, Jordan Howard, Darrell Henderson, Zach Moss, Chase Edmonds, Tony Pollard. Not specifically in that order. This is just the order I saw them in my brain. Jordan Howard is going to split time with Breida. Breida could still get hurt though, so there's upside there. Those 2 are pretty clearly the lead guys. Duke Johnson absolutely has upside, and he honestly has a floor as well. In a full PPR league, I gotta lean Duke Johnson over Jordan Howard because Jordan Howard is not gonna have receptions. Darrell Henderson definitely has some upside. I feel like for me though, this is between Zach Moss and Duke Johnson. I'm going to take Duke Johnson because I think there's a better chance Moss is available. He's not gonna be available. Great. I'm gonna take Duke Johnson because I have a feeling they're still going to use him a decent amount. And when they use him, it's going to be in the passing game. And in a full PPR league, that's just a little better. Would have absolutely loved to get Moss with this pick. And if you wanted to take Moss in that last round, go for it. I'm definitely not against that at all. At this pick, we are going to look at tight end. Still don't think we need to attack it. So we'll wait. Probably not either of these 2 picks. We'll wait until our that'd be late 12th round pick because I still think someone will be there. Definitely Pollard and Edmonds look like the final 2 of this kind of high upside range. We're not looking at Jackson, Peterson, Williams, Dillon. Darren Evans definitely has some upside. Damian Harris, but that kind of is like a tier below. Between Pollard and Edmonds, honestly, I think they're right next to each other. I don't think there's much of a difference. 4 wide receiver. Do we need one? Let's see. Robinson, Chark, Gallup, and McLaurin. We could split here if we wanted to. So Preston Williams, yes. Jalen Reagor, yes. Curtis Samuel. I don't think there's anyone else that we'd really argue should be taken at this spot. I really like Preston Williams. I mean, he was leading that team in, I believe, targets, receptions, yards, just literally everything before he got hurt. And while we don't know his exact recovery, I mean, he was pretty good, right? Everyone's taking Devonta Parker really early, but Preston Williams was doing better than Parker before he was injured. I think between him and Reagor, it's extremely close. And since I don't really know which one, maybe, this next pick of the turn here, maybe they'll take one of them and just make the decision easy for me. So maybe I'll go over to Pollard versus Edmonds, who I also kind of don't really know which one to take, but I'll say there's more paths to Edmonds getting work than Pollard. So Pollard goes, they don't help me with the decision at all. I guess, honestly, I would probably go with Reagor. He has the best chance of being the top wide receiver on his team because I think he's just going to be. I think to start the season, Reagor is going to be the number 1. And while I think Preston Williams is good, he is still coming off a torn ACL, so there's risk there. And I do think they want Parker to be the guy over him. Because remember, Williams was good, but it's not like he's some elite route runner or some elite talent. He was good. He wasn't great, So I think he's going to have a good season, but I don't think, he's some elite breakout. I was hoping Hurst would be available. When did he end up going? So early 12th round. You guys know I really like Hurst this season. I don't think we need to take Curtis Samuel with this pick. It would probably be our pick, but I don't think we need to do that. So let's just take whichever tight end we like the most here. Gesicki is an option, but I'm starting to back off that because he only performed well after Preston Williams was injured. And he did pretty bad on a per target. So if you look at how many targets he was getting with his routes, it wasn't that great. And so when I look at Hawkinson and Fant, I just see more upside in those two because they're just like athletic freaks, and Hawkinson especially has the chance to just be a monster this season. So I see a case for waiting because I'm not upset if I get Hawkinson versus Gesicki, Fant, Jonnu Smith, Jarwin. I'd be fine starting with Eric Ebron, Chris Herndon. So I don't really care too much, but I will say I prefer Hawkinson. And given that there weren't really any other great options at these other positions, I'm cool taking the guy I just want. 2 bench spots, and then we take defense. And actually, I've added some defenses to the targets. Remember, I only had 2, the Bucs and the Chargers. Now we have a few more, so I'll talk about that in a second. Which position do we need? So we have 4 running back, McCaffrey, Jacobs, Dobbins, Duke, and Edmonds. So that's 5. And then we've got Robinson, Chark, McLaurin, Gallup, Rager. We are beautifully at 5 and 5. So we can probably just take one of each. Again, I think we take Curtis and we hope that Damian Harris is available at the next pick. He will not be. That's rather unfortunate. But yeah, Curtis Samuel, he's very good. I know he busted last season, but he's a great wide receiver. He had awful quarterback play. I think he's going to be good this year, and we're getting him at a really nice discount in the 13th round. So I'm still on board with Samuel. Still love DJ Moore more than him. Too many mores there. I like DJ Moore better, but I think he's still a good pick, Samuel, that is. So let's take an upside running back. Joshua Kelly could be the featured back if Eckler ever got injured, so that's a good one there. Royce Freeman could get traded, I guess. Devonta Freeman could sign somewhere. I don't really know where he'd go that we'd love him as a pick. There's not any fantastic picks available. Is there any crazy? Oh, we could take Bonifon. Yeah. I don't think it's secure. So if I was guaranteed that he was the backup, I would just take him and handcuff McCaffrey. I don't think it's guaranteed that he's the handcuff, so maybe we don't do that. Pirine maybe for the receptions. There's not that great of options. I could take Eno and just be like, hey, I've got the backup to Duke if he ever got hurt. But let's take Kelly because you guys know I think he is better than Justin Jackson. And they don't want to just feature Eckler with every single touch. So he's going to get some work to start. Maybe they see he's good. Then maybe Eckler twists his ankle and then Kelly's the guy. That's the path. It's the late 14th round. So you're just looking who has a chance, who's got a chance to be okay. So we only have, just want to make sure I'm right here. We only have defense, right? Yep. Okay. So we will take our defense. Where's defense? Okay. So the Chargers are still on the board. The Bucs are still on the board. We have added the Colts as a team that we are targeting, and we've added Kansas City as a team that we're targeting. I believe I do still have the Chargers ranked ahead of them. Basically, Chiefs is a lot of game script. They have a decent defense, so they can still get sacks and still get turnovers. But also, they're going to be winning a lot of games, and so teams are going to have to throw, and that leads to more sacks, more fumbles, more interceptions. So that's definitely a good team. Chargers just have an epic defense, so they're obviously a good pick. Bucs have an underrated defense. They're a great pick. What did I say? The Colts? Yeah. Are they 100? Yeah, the Colts. So all of our options are still available. I have to check exactly what the rankings are. I believe the Chargers are my top option, but I don't fully remember. So we get a 93, not that we care at all about that. Here's the team. Our starting lineup: Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Allen Robinson, DJ Chark, TJ Hawkinson, Terry McLaurin, and the Chargers. And then the bench: Gallup, Dobbins, Duke Johnson, Chase Edmonds, Rager, Curtis Samuel, and Joshua Kelly. I think that's a really good team. And again, it just gives you so much flexibility getting one of these early running backs. It doesn't have to be McCaffrey. Getting McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, Zeke, just being able to lock in one of those guys is so nice, because when you get to that second round, you still have such incredible options available, and you have 2 of those picks. So I do think early picks make the best teams. They just give you so much flexibility, because I was able to take Robinson, Chark, McLaurin, to where maybe I couldn't do that if I had to take Joe Mixon in the first round, but I have McCaffrey, so like it makes up for it. So I don't think there were any options in the first 5. I think that's like how you should draft those first 5 picks. It was just Josh Allen. I would have taken Josh Allen and then probably a running back. So let's just pretend the Josh Allen pick was our... I would have probably gone with James White there. So James White, and then quarterback late. Our quarterback would have been Newton. I probably would have taken him in the 13th. So let's pick a running back around here. Honestly, Kelly. We can still use Kelly. So would you rather have James White and Cam Newton, or Joshua Kelly and Josh Allen? I think, there's a reasonable take on both ends there, because there's definitely a chance that Newton ends up better than Josh Allen. But I think I like the way that it ended up. I don't think James White is like this exceptional pick. And I only say James White because I didn't really love any of the other running backs. Or maybe Geis. I may have taken Geis. We'll redo that one. Darius Geis and Cam Newton, or Josh Allen and Joshua Kelly. So those are going to be 2. I'll post that on Twitter, and I'll post last week's option on Twitter, and then we'll go over both of those next week. But that, my friends, is the end of this video. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting that like button, and how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.